Hi, this is Tenny1020 speaking to you live in person right here on my IDE. I'm making a password generator right here. So right now I'm just setting up all the components. So I'm gonna have some buttons, generate password button, a button to shuffle output, and a button to copy the text that was generated. Now we're gonna have some options. We're gonna have the include caps, the include lowercase, and the include numbers, and the include special characters are gonna be eventually removed. We're gonna have some text boxes, the length, and the output. And so here's our output. We're creating our output text box, and gonna just initialize all of the fields. So now I'm looking for the layout. Couldn't find the right layout. I thought I wanted to use grid layout, and then, well, actually I knew I didn't want to use grid layout, but I couldn't find the layout I actually wanted, but it was border layout after searching through off camera, searching through the documentation. And now I'm gonna set up my layout. I had it drawn out on a piece of paper before this. So now I'm just visualizing it. And shuffle output's actually going to be on the left instead of on the center, because the generate password button is supposed to be the biggest one. Now I'm going to add an option pane, a J-panel for my options called options panel. It's going to have my length text box in it as well, although I did not put that in the commented layout. So after setting it all up, I will run the program. My computer crashed at about that moment right there before I closed the app, and so I had to restart it. But it transitions cleanly through that, I guess. So now I'm going to add the length of password option and set a size for it, 2 characters wide. I set it to 3 at first, and I realized that was too big. And I kind of wish I could have made the window a little bit skinnier, but I would have probably been able to do that with a little bit more work. Now I'm setting up the method to generate the random password. And it's going to be like my WordShuffler program. There's just going to be one method, although I wasn't able to figure this out until later. There'll also be that random field, but that's not really much needed. It's just a static. Now I'm thinking about this while I'm programming it. I hadn't really thought much about it first, except that I knew that I was gonna create a random int generator and convert the int to the ASCII character. But I couldn't really figure out how to, hadn't thought out how I was going to implement the choosing the random character. But here I've got C for caps, L for lowercase character, and N for number, and it will choose a random character of the array list of character types, and then it will generate another number, and it will between that range of whatever. So now I'm testing it, testing to see if this works, and it doesn't work, so I have to go back and redo the for loop because it didn't work. Now I'm adding in the generation, the string generation method. This is another test, by the way. It's going to print out each character type that it prints. I did a lot of testing because normally I'm not sure how to do this. And so I have to make sure it works first, you know, because all developers have to do that. I didn't put anything in the switch case because I didn't exactly have the idea of what to put in there. And so now I'm going to figure out which ASCII characters had which int. And I'm going to use that as a reference while I generate my password generator. I'm going to get my method I made earlier for making ranges. And so what I'm going to do is make a word, generate the word with my reference program. And in a minute you'll see that the word plus equals char int generator dot next int or whatever, it's not going to output what I wanted to output. And so this is going to be a problem for me because I wasn't able to figure that out. And it won't be in a minute, it'll be in a few minutes. Now I'm just setting the action performed method, trying to find the options. I thought there was a method in the J check box, I think, that where you could like get the selected, but apparently there's not. So I had to use the item state changed method and set the overall booleans to false or true whenever it was set by inverting the booleans. So I do this. I made a method called invert boolean, but I didn't know that there was a shortcut. I actually knew of the shortcut with the exclamation point. Right here, I'm renaming them to CB, or include whatever it was, CB, because it stands for checkbox. As I was saying about the invert boolean, I was going to do this method, but IntelliJ IDEA said that there's a better solution for that, better way of doing that with the exclamation point. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to use that instead. I'll have to make a method. So just put the exclamation point in front of the boolean variable, and it will return the opposite. That's very helpful. So now I am trying to convert the string of the length to an integer. Adding action listeners to each of the buttons that I wanted to do that one action listener to. Now it will not work because I had to add the item listeners. Now they work, except they are going the opposite direction. So I had to set each of them to true, and it's working now, except that n was negative in this case. So I switched those two, and that worked. But now they're not displaying the right character. It was displaying it. It was ignoring the character symbol right there. I couldn't figure it out, so I searched it on Google. Got it from a whatever that place was. Fixed it, and that worked. And now, if I run it after I fix it, after I run it, it will actually work. But the number of characters in the string was one more than I had actually needed, so I set it to negative. I set the length to -1 of what the user specified. And now I'm trying to figure out what to do if the user specifies an invalid number. Like A. So now I'm going to find my WordShuffler program that I made earlier, import that, add that to the shuffle output button, which if you can actually edit the main output text box, and it will shuffle whatever edit you made. This was something funny that I did. I said the shuffle button, but it actually shuffled the text of the button, not the text box. And so, fix that. Now that works. And now I can edit it. Edit the top text box. Now I'm gonna find the the code that I had for the copy to clipboard, and I had already made some code for that, and so that was easy to do. Just copy it from something else that I made. Here's my copying button, or my copyright comments, and that's it. Thank you for watching. You can see all of my programs at that link, and you can download the source code and the application at that link.